Hi, you guys. Welcome to week 7. 7. I'll try to get the right week this time. Let's see. A couple of things. I want to compliment you on your discussions and the way you guys have been integrating the readings into the discussions. Really nice work. There we go. Really nice work. And I think it'll set you guys up well on the midterm for next week. Just to highlight some things from the readings. For the Nygren, actually most of you guys chose to write about the Nygren article, and I don't blame you. It was much, much better. Yeah, in my opinion. So the thing I think that's most important to take out of the Nygren stuff, the Nygren article, is the actual stuff about migration, okay? Especially about how structural adjustment policies after the Sandinistas made things worse for a lot of people who had seen some improvement under the Sandinistas. And this, like losing land or just increased economic difficulty. And so this caused men to have to migrate, which could improve their material conditions, at least in the short term, but then make things much worse and more vulnerable for women and children, all right? So, yeah, that's important to take out of that, okay? The Oren Starn article, I guess I'll apologize for this, and it's not really an apology, but the article is not as good as I thought it was going to be when I assigned it. I had read a book called Night Watch by Oren Starn, which really was actually really good, and a really good summary of sort of an ethnographic account of the Shining Path resistance, the Sendero Luminoso, and more about how peasants resisted it. Yeah, so I thought this was going to be a shortened version of that. It really wasn't. So I'll confess, yeah, it wasn't exactly what I thought it was going to be. The article was about how to think about social resistance movements, particularly these rondas, and how to articulate peasants and peasants' roles in the rondas. The rondas were these civilian militias that the government in Peru armed to fight against the Shining Path guerrillas. So yeah, it was a huge, it actually ended up working really well for the government. So anyway, Andean peasants, no. The article though is ultimately about what Starn, and what makes it difficult, because you guys might not be able to contextualize this within the history of Clifford Geertzian kind of anthropology and ethnography. It's an attempt to rectify what Starnes calls compromised history. So just to tell you guys what that is, it's a history where other people have written it. So it's a history written by outsiders that locals don't really have a say in. And so that's what Oren Starn really tries to rectify, okay? And so as he points out, the Andean peasants have been written about in these very dualistic kind of terms, right? You're either a noble savage or you're a murderous savage. And so, yeah, he's trying to rectify that by saying, look, neither one of these is right, and so we really need to problematize those kind of definitions, those kind of labels, and then give a truer account of what life is like for Andean peasants, okay? And if you don't know a history of the Shining Path, you really should look into it. I mean, I guess I'm not going to go into it here because, yeah, it would take forever. But it was an amazing kind of historical movement, although it technically is still in existence today, just in a drastically scaled back version. Yeah, it started off as this sort of Maoist rebellion, which was done for a lot of the right reasons. Land tenure in that part of the world was awful, and poor people were losing their land right and left to the wealthy elite of society, and so there started these Maoist resistances that called themselves the Shining Path. Unfortunately for them, they really resorted to drastic, like really gross human rights violations. They were really nasty kind of atrocities. There were nasty atrocities committed really on all sides, but the Shining Path became sort of famous for it, or notorious for it. And yeah, this was kind of problematic in their efforts to recruit other people to join them in the rebellion against the bourgeoisie. Yeah, they were famous for saying things like, human rights are a bourgeois concept, and we are not held to them because, you know, we are of the land. So, yeah, it was pretty crazy stuff. The videos that you guys did in YouTube, I loved this assignment. I'm totally going to do this again because some of your videos were fantastic to watch, and they weren't even things that they were definitely not things that I knew about. So I'll highlight a couple of them here that were just really good. Not to say that others weren't good, but some of the ones that really stuck to me. Brendan, your La Carpio video, that was amazing. I didn't know you had videos on YouTube, so nice photography, Brendan, really, really good. Myra, your Children of the Harvest, wow, what an amazing documentary. I didn't even know about it. I love the fact that they point out the irony that an 11-year-old can work all day, sort of slaving, stooped over in the hot sun, picking blueberries, but then they can't stack the blueberries in an air-conditioned grocery store. I mean, not that I think that should be allowed either, but I don't know. I mean, it's just sort of the ironies and the paradoxes of child labor in the U.S. in the 21st century. Let's see. Becca, your thing about undocumented workers and McDonald's. I don't really know what to think about some of that. My favorite thing from that were actually the comments and how crazy some of the people were on your comments section. And actually, Lindsay, the same thing goes for your video. I don't really know what to think about it. I mean, I'm sort of horrified at the same time. It's really interesting, but is it just me, or did that news commentator, was she really talking about how nice life was going to be for these, you know, prisoners in the tent city in the 105-degree heat because, hey, they can go inside and watch cable TV with other prisoners? Yeah, there was something just wrong about that. And did you catch the cat calls that the other prisoners were giving her walking around in that outfit? Right, in jail? Let's see. LaDonna. LaDonna, you had a refugee camp video, which I love because I spent a lot of time in a refugee camp, but you need to be careful about using clips that are essentially these 2-minute long commercials, right? I mean, in that case, that was essentially a commercial for a refugee resettlement agency asking for money, saying, hey, look, these people's lives are getting, you know, their human rights are ruined and they're not being respected in these camps, therefore please send us money. So, yeah, just be aware of the kind of sources that you're using for these kind of things. I mean, I've spent almost a year of life living in one of two, especially two refugee camps, or IDP camps, refugee camps, and yeah, so the video was just very essentializing, right? It's essentializing in the way it portrayed things and the way it portrayed life. So yeah, just be aware of that kind of thing. The rest of your videos were good. Actually, I didn't get them from Yvonne and Carrie, so if you guys want to, actually you should really just post them late, okay? It's better than never. Raoul, that historical stuff, so good for you for finding something that really sort of resonated with the Woody Guthrie lyrics. Alright, so last thing, before we look ahead, we have lost Misty, Rock, and Kelly from this class. Nobody else is allowed to drop, okay? Nobody drops the class. We've lost enough already. So, yeah, if you got problems with things, let me know, okay? It's not worth dropping the class. So, let's see, looking ahead, this next week is really, Alicia has set it up as a more detailed case study about Guatemala. Hopefully you guys are not tired of that, and the violence there that has caused so many people to flee.